Yeah, exactly.
Right, what you got for us, Annie?
Oh, so Greek fire.
Greek fire.
I've got loads of books, Andrew, for a change. So Greek fire, essentially a primitive form of napalm, originated in Greece but was used to great effect in naval battles during the Byzantine Empire. This was because it could not only float on top of the water, but was also difficult to extinguish by using water. So it was a double whammy, really.
Yeah.
The secrets of manufacture and deployment were so closely guarded that even today we are unsure how it functioned. While the formula has been the predominant area of study, it is thought that the storage and pressurized delivery system played a huge role in its ignition and its functionality.
We can't make it today, can we?
No.
We've no idea how they made it.
Which is mind-bogglingly fascinating, isn't it?
Here's a thought, Annie. Let's take Greek fire as an example. We 100% know that it existed. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. There may be doubt about whether the Fermanas actually existed.
Yeah.
But there's no doubt whatsoever that Greek fire actually existed.
Yeah.
And yet we've lost the ability.
And it was a type of napalm and we can't make it now.
We can't make it now. So is it any surprising that we've lost the Fermana technology?
Exactly. Exactly. There is also very little that can be verified about the flexible glass or vitrium flexible that was created during Tiberius Caesar's reign of the Roman Empire. However, there are very interesting historical anecdotes that may lend credibility to this tale. These stories depict a glassmaker who presented a glass vessel. What this vessel is varies in depending on whose research you're looking at. To the emperor, who inspected it, he returned it to the glassmaker, who, as a demonstration, promptly threw it down on the ground. The glassmaker calmly picked it up and showed the emperor a dent in the glass rather than it being shattered into many pieces. The glassmaker then proceeded to hammer it back to its original shape, and it appears as though no damage occurred to his work. Now, you would think this creation would be rewarded. However, fearing that this new material would devalue gold, silver, and other precious metals, the emperor ensured that no one but him knew the formula for vitrium flexile, and then dispatched with the poor glassmaker's head. It's a bit like what's going on, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Whilst, shut the true speakers up and get rid of them. While seemingly impossible, it appears there is much plausibility to this story. If the Roman glassmaker had somehow obtained boric acid or borax, both of which are naturally occurring materials, the ending product would be unbreakable. So, Damascus steel, this term is used nowadays for a wide variety of pattern welded forged steel products. However, historically speaking, Damascus steel was discovered long ago and was used to make swords in the Middle East. Stories allege that these swords could cut through rocks or could even completely shear another blade. But what made this steel so special? The exact process they used is still unclear. However, Wootz steel was imported from Sri Lanka, which we've already said is Lemurian and Atlantean, possibly, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, Lemurian, anyway.
However, Wootz steel was imported from Sri Lanka and used in the forging process with other metals to what is described to weave them together rather than creating an alloy. This process created an incredibly strong but flexible metal that modern day smiths have struggled to recreate. While modern day Damascus is generally high quality and quite beautiful, it is, it would seem, only an approximation of its former glory. Again, why do we not know how to do this now?
Yeah, yeah. Just,
Another
yeah.
lost bit of knowledge, isn't it? And then this is Silphium. The lost genus of the fennel plant was used in Roman times as a form of birth control, as well as a cure for all common ailments. This plant grew only along what is now the coast in modern day Libya. It very quickly became one of the most valuable materials in the ancient world, and was not only widely used, but was also displayed on several variations of their currency. So there's still a record that we did have.
We've talked about this in other shows too, haven't we?
Yeah, we have.
Mm.
It is speculated that with this plant only growing in a small portion of the world and the increasing demand, it was likely could be over harvested and driven to extinction.
Yeah, that's what they say. Yeah.
And then I've included this because I've known about this. My lovely grandparents again. So Stradivari violins. These violins and other stringed instruments created by the Stradivari family were prized in their day, circa 1650 to 1750.
I think they still are, aren't they?
Hey?
They still are prized, aren't they?
Oh, absolutely. But the sound they make is just
Incredible,
heavenly,
divine.
beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah.
So they're renowned in modern day as having an unparalleled sound quality that has proved to be impossible to recreate.
Yeah.
Most of those surviving instruments are worth hundreds of thousands of pounds, but experts still disagree what makes them sound so beautiful. But we've talked about the importance of shrooms and fungus in the past, haven't we? So one of the ideas for this is he speculated that a fungus that grew in the region, or perhaps in the density of the wood, accounts for its beauty, but no one can say for sure.
Mm.
That does make sense, doesn't it?
That does make sense, Annie.
The family art was only known by Antonio Stradivari and his sons Ombono and Francesco. The family secret was lost with them after they passed away.
Yeah.
Nepenthe, again, there's probably Greek people going, oh my God, that's awful. So Nepenthe is how I'm saying it, but it's probably pronounced something completely different. The Greeks were much more advanced than other civilizations of their time. One area they were highly regarded in was field of medicine. Well, we know about Hippocrates, don't we? They were said to treat those in mourning with Nepenthe, an antidepressant known to chase away sorrow. This plant is frequently mentioned in Greek literature, like Homer's The Odyssey. It is believed that it was real and widely used in ancient Greece. It was said that Nepenthe originated in Egypt, which again, that would make sense.
Yeah.
And that many have said that it was comparable to opium or laudanum as a drug of forgetfulness. It's possible that this plant is still around today, but modern science hasn't identified its modern equivalent. So for now, it remains another mystery.
Mm-hmm.
Roman concrete. Have you noticed, we'll have noticed, Jack, in Stafford, the potholes, the tarmac, the concrete, all just caving in, isn't it, really? It's horrid. Yeah. So have you noticed the road that was fixed last year falling apart already? Absolutely. Or perhaps that old crumbly concrete building waiting for demolition. Why is it that our modern concrete falls apart within a century, but Roman concrete has stood over a millennium? The biggest difference is with the chemical composition. That'd make sense, wouldn't it? Roman concrete contains high levels of volcanic rock and lime. And when seawater was introduced, it would cause a reaction between the ingredient and form an incredibly strong bond. Our modern Portland cement does not contain this mixture even. I don't know what mixture was. Mixture.
Teasing.
The mixture and has a life service of about 50 years, quite often less if it's exposed to seawater. To add to injury, it appears as though the Roman method for making concrete is far more environmentally sustainable and would release less carbon dioxide into the air annually. The more you know, the less you know.
That happened.
And then this is, again, I might be mispronouncing this, Mithridate. Mithridatium, named after King Mithridates the 6th, was an alleged universal antidote to all forms of poison. Though the exact formula has been lost to time, historians believed it included opium, chopped vipers, and small amounts of both poisons and their antidotes. The antidote was developed around 100 BC and used for many centuries, especially in Italy, Spain, and France. It was even used not long ago in 19th century under the name theriac. Today, the recipe is unknown, but there have been documented attempts to recreate the formula to this miracle antidote as recently as the 1990s. It didn't say if it was successful or unsuccessful, or whether Big Pharma just gobbled it up and went, oh, we'll have the patent for that and we'll never let it out.
Who's going to test it?
I'll be willing to give it a go. I am the product, what should I say? I am the product, what do you call it? Product researcher at Heaven Sent Bliss. So I try it on me, and if I don't die, it's safe for you to have, Jack.
Right, okay. Well volunteered.
Okay. Nikola Tesla's patents.
Ah, Nikola Tesla.
Oh, I love Nikola Tesla.
He knew a thing or two, didn't he?
Oh, he so did. I've been reading some of his books and oh, wow, just such an incredible mind. While wireless energy was Tesla's magnum opus, he created several other fantastic and useful inventions during his lifetime, from the brushless AC motor to actual live demonstrations of wireless energy transfer in his lab environment. However, one of his less well-known patent references, something that may seem very familiar and has exploded in popularity in recent years. While not exactly a drone, Tesla devised unmanned vehicles and patented the idea for the method of an apparatus for controlling the mechanism of moving vessels or vehicles in November of 1898. Very, very smart man.
Oh, yeah, clever guy.
Tesla envisioned this device being powered by electrical waves, and although he did not mention them by name, he was in fact correct about the use of radio waves for wireless controls. Tesla believed in the destructive potential for unmanned vehicles, and in his patent mentioned, for by reason of its certain and unlimited destructiveness, it will tend to bring about and maintain permanent peace among nations. Nice man, and I would want to believe that, but clearly.
Well, there's certain people who make a lot of money at war.
Oh, yeah, don't they just?
They won't let us have peace.
No, because they're making so much money out of arms, out of selling the arms to both sides, like let's say Ukraine and Russia, but also they're also making sure that they can take whatever resources they want for someone else's country, which is what it's always about, really, isn't it?
And the bankers are making a fortune lending the countries the money to buy
Oh, yeah.
both sides.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Again, both wings of the same bird, aren't they, Jack?
yeah. It's a big war, is a big con.
And a big money maker for the Rothschilds, bless them, and the Rockefellers and all those.
Yeah. Whichever
lovely
country
people.
wins, whichever country wins the war, the people always lose.
Yeah. 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 Tester believed in the destructive. Oh no, I've done that. The first war drone, the Kettering bug, was created during World War One. However, it was unreliable at best and completed too late to ever see a war zone. The destructive potential Tesla reference was not realised for nearly another century, and is only just now being used in that capacity for warfare and peacekeeping. I don't think you can have weapons of mass destruction and then say you're peacekeeping. Come on now.
No, you can't. No.
Come on. Let's do peacekeeping and let's just get rid of all this nonsense.
It's a big con.
All of it, Jack, isn't it? It really is. It turns out a much more terrifying and destructive weapon was enough to keep the superpowers from squabbling amongst themselves, and it was not Tesla's design. The Manhattan Project's child was the atomic bomb, as we know.
Yeah. Which is where we opened the show.
Indeedy.
We've gone full circle.
We have.
I
am going to tell you something about the pyramids of Egypt, even though it might be, it might be overlapping. So the Pyramid of Egypt, erected during Egypt's Old Kingdom, the pyramids of Giza may seem like they're just extravagant tombs, but they're also one of historians' best resources for understanding life in ancient Egypt. The walls are covered with illustrations, they definitely are, of agricultural practices, city life, religious ceremonies, and everything in between. However, there is one mystery that the pyramids don't explain: how they were built. So I could talk about, but I'm not going to, how big they are. When you're in Giza, I mean, I was trying to get a photo and I went like that and I literally fell flat on my back because I was trying to get with my lovely little Olympus trip and my little 5'1" goddess body, which didn't quite go together. So I got a very tall man to take photos for me instead.
Yeah, they're massive bloody things.
Oh,
we're supposed to,
Jack.
And we're supposed to believe that they built those massive things made of massive blocks
that came from 500 miles away. Are you kidding? On rollers, wooden rollers.
And they made it all with slaves and elephants. Beam me up, come on.
It sounds like Terry Pratchett's Discworld.
It does, doesn't it?
So yeah, all that monkey business about how they were done. 2 new discoveries about the pyramids, about how the pyramids were built, have recently come to light. The first found when a Dutch team looked at Egyptian art depicting labourers moving enormous stones on sledges through the desert. They realised that the figure pouring water in the stone's path wasn't part of any ceremonial offering. He was wetting the sand. Water helps the grains of sand stick together to drastically reduce friction. Again, have you seen that?
It's not feasible, is it? It's just not feasible.
So when I was doing this, I was thinking, wouldn't your common sense tell you that this is ridiculous as an idea? It's dafter than the elephants and the big logs of wood, isn't it, really? It's just...
You know how the stones were cut.
Exactly. They're laser cut, Jack. They're laser cut.
Yeah, they've done experiments with the equipment that the saws they had in the day. And even by putting wet sand in the cracks, it still took, I can't remember the details now off the top of my head, but it took a day or something to cut a big, it would have taken thousands of years to build at that rate. Which
they didn't do it in thousands of years. They did it far more speedier, didn't they?
Yeah.
They could have put stones on boats. How bloody big would the boat have to be?
Glug, 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 glug.
So yeah, I've put this in just because I like to tell you about bullshit, so we can just refute it all. So the Egyptians didn't load stones onto boats. That isn't how they did it, in my opinion.
Yeah.
The Giza power plants, technologies of ancient Jew. I am not going to giggle, Jack Cox. I am not going to giggle. I'm not going to giggle.
Too late.
I think it's called Sweet Revenge, isn't it? I've done it to you last week.
Yeah, you certainly did. I couldn't stop laughing last week, could I? I went on for about 10 minutes.
But we're keeping our vibration high with laughter medicine. So I've been studying this phenomenal architecture for over several years, doing thousands of hours of research, probably like you have, Jack. And I visited Egypt for 4 weeks 10 years ago, and it just blew me away. Just blew me away. Christopher Dunn has compelling evidence that the building and moving of these colossal stones was done using harmonic resonance, sometimes called sonics. He states that minute quartz crystals found in all the huge stones used in the construction of the Great Giza Pyramid were elevated using harmonics and sonics to levitate huge stones for the structures. I'm not going to say much more about it because he goes into much better detail than I do, Jack, really. But basically, he calls it the Giza powerhouse, and he says that it was generating electricity, but also it was the harmonics and sonic frequency that allowed the blocks to levitate, if you like. I don't know what else you'd call it.
There was a guy in America, wasn't there, that did that in the last century. He built, I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head, but he built a folly, if you like, on that principle. He levitated the stones into place.
Yeah, yeah. It is possible. It's definitely possible. I'm a sound healer, and I know what you can do with sound. It's just incredible.
And does anyone know what I'm referring to? And can anyone remember his name or the name of the place? No. Okay.
Thousands of years ago, while ancient Greece was a powerful nation, central heating was invented. This heating system consisted of flues and ducts planted in the ground, which then carried the heat produced by the fire into people's homes. Because the fires required for this process need to be constantly kept alight, servants or slaves often had to monitor the flames to ensure their longevity. Of course, these central heating systems were not available to any old ancient Greek. It was mostly the more affluent and powerful individuals who had access to this technology. Yeah. A known example of ancient central heating being used is in the Temple of Artemis at Ephesus, a Greek temple dedicated to the goddess Artemis. Without sewer systems, I'm trying not to make this.
Yes, I know the story. Carry on.
I'm trying to do it with a straight face as well, which clearly is not working terribly well.
Working, is it? No.
Without sewer system, we'd certainly be in a bit of a messy situation, to say the least. Around 2,500 years ago, the first sewer system was laid in Italy. While many believe it was the ancient Romans who invented the sewers, the reality is that the Romans simply continued to use the existing sewer systems created by the
by who?
Etruscans.
The Etruscans, okay.
The Etruscans existed over what is now Tuscany, Western Umbria, and northern Lazio. The Etruscan civilization existed for hundreds of years, but essentially faded entirely upon the establishment of the Roman Empire. I think we might know why that happened. The sewer system created by the Etruscans consisted of underground tunnels built from very finely carved rock. When the Romans discovered these sewers, they began to install them in many regions around the Roman Empire. And this is why many believe that they invented the first sewer system, but they didn't. It was the Etruscans. Today, steam turbines are used around the world to power compressors and pumps in machinery, but the steam turbine is far from a modern invention. In fact, the first steam turbine was invented almost 2,500 years ago by the ancient Greeks. While many think the battery is a fairly recent invention, its most rudimentary version was actually invented again 2,000 years ago, although it is not known exactly when. Archaeologists believe that this mechanism was either invented during the reign of the Parthian or Sasanian empires in the 2nd or 3rd century AD. The artifact was discovered in 1936 in Qujut Rabu in Iraq and consists of a copper tube, a rod of iron, and a basic ceramic pot. This, of course, looks nothing like the modern-day lithium battery, and this has led to a lot of conflicting opinions over its use. The most common proposed use of this mechanism is for electrotherapy, but there are many other researchers and scientists that would disagree. Some believe it was used to store ancient scrolls safely, while others claiming that no legitimate archaeologist believes this artifact could have been used as a battery due to it not having any circuitry. Maybe they just...
Well, there's no circuitry in a battery anyway, is there? There's just
when I was reading this last night, I thought, well, to make a battery, you can make a battery out of a potato or a lemon. You don't have circuitry, do you?
Well, you need an anode and a cathode and an electrolyte in between.
Yeah,
that's all you need.
So yeah, I don't think it could be legitimate because it hasn't got circuitry.
So circuitry in a battery.
Until the invention of the sat-nav, people were reliant on the compass for navigation and travel. And I think we used to watch the stars as well to circumnavigate, didn't we?
Yeah.
A compass relies on the Earth's magnetic field to decipher which direction is north, south, east, or west. And it was thanks to the Vikings and that this basic concept behind this device was created. While the Vikings did not invent the common magnetic compass, they did invent a system that categorized the horizon into 8 different sections called an attir. A set of prominent stars were used to create these navigational points, such as the Northern Star, which is known throughout ancient texts as Polaris. This system laid the basic foundations for later navigational systems and the invention of the traditional compass. If it was your alarm clock that got you up for work today, you might want to give a nod to the ancient Greeks, or you might want to hit them on the head with something. In the 3rd century BC, an ancient Greek inventor and mathematician called Ctesibius noticed that Greek civilians were finding it hard to remind themselves to wake up, eat, or head out to events. This is when he decided to develop a device that can remind people of the time. This mechanism used falling pebbles hitting a gong to create an alarm sound. I don't like the sound of that. With the drop of the pebbles being triggered by a water clock that kept track of the time. However, many attribute the invention of the alarm clock to Plato, a famous Greek philosopher who lived and died before Ctesibius was even born. Plato created his own version of the water alarm clock in 427 BC, almost 200 years before Ctesibius's invention.
Keep falling on me, gone.
I'm glad I didn't have a gong to wake me up this morning, or little pebbles. I think that would have been horrid. What we do know is that Ctesibius went on to improve his invention and change the unpleasant gong sound to one that resembled birdsong and bells. So maybe we have both of these ancient geniuses to thank for the current alarm clock. So I'm going to show you some pictures, and then I'll tell you about all the books that I recommend. So this one is Valcominica and the Spacemen. Oh, is it really near, Jack? Can you see?
Val, yeah, let me just write that down.
Yeah, there will be a better image than me holding the book up.
Okay.
So they are very clearly spacemen, but they look like spacemen. And then something else that I was curious about is, oh, crystal skulls.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God, they're just, and the detail, I've got one in my treatment room. I don't know if you can see that very well.
Yeah.
Well, maybe.
Put a link to the book in the show notes.
Or this one is perhaps more obvious with the clear quartz.
Oh, that's a better one. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
They're gigantic, some of these. The one I've got is about that size. But yeah, again, it's said that, so what this book is saying, it said that the people who made these a different race to us, clearly, and they planted the crystal skulls at strategic place all over our earth for when we needed them. Well, we need them now. Come on, skulls. And then this is the Palenque tomb. I don't know if you can read that, Jack.
Yeah.
So the Palenque tomb, and in the tomb was this, what can only be termed an alien's or a giant skull.
Oh, yeah, a cone head, yeah.
Yeah.
We were talking about the cone heads before, weren't we?
We have, yeah, absolutely, darling. And then I could have shown you every page on this, to be honest, but I'm just being careful. Oh, the Olmec heads, again, are over 2,000 years old, huge pieces of rock.
Yeah, they proved that Africans must have visited South America in ancient times.
Yeah, they've got to have done, Jack. They've got to have done. And then let me find the next one. And then the Easter Island statues, Jack. How do you explain that?
Well, they're a mystery, aren't they?
And also, I've seen on Telegram a video that somebody's done, and actually they're not just heads. There's bodies.
Oh, no, they go all the way down
with that geo X-ray thing that I'll think of later and kick myself for not remembering the word.
No, they go deep.
Physics or whatever, and they've got bodies all the way down. They're not just Easter Island heads.
They're not just heads, no. A lot of them have been dug up.
Yeah. And then this
So
is...
were they deliberately buried, do you think, or did just time bury them?
I don't know if it was that mud flood that we were talking about before we started. You know,
Would that have affected Easter Island? Well, it depends whether it was an island at the time.
I know it might. That's what I'm thinking. It might not have been an island then, and maybe it's, I don't know. Maybe they did hide it below. Maybe they did hide the anything that wasn't the head below ground. But I don't know, for stability.
I don't suppose we ever will know, Annie.
No.
It's just
We're
one
just
of life's,
hypothesizing beautifully.
just one of life's many, many mysteries.
And then this alien architecture is in Kalissa in Bombay, India.
Why is it alien?
Because this is in the middle of nowhere, made out of big slabs of rock, but a bit like Machu Picchu, that it's on a huge hill basically. So this is
so it could be the ancient technology, couldn't it? Ancient Earth technology. Yeah.
This is Machu Picchu, which we know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And again, you know, just beyond. It said here that it was only rediscovered in 1911, but it's I don't know if it was the conquistadores that ruined it all. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
And then this is El Castillo in Mexico. Again, another ancient shrine.
Yeah.
Again, almost pyramidal, but not quite.
Well, it is. The South American pyramids were like that, weren't they?
Yeah.
But they're definitely pyramids.
But yeah, I thoroughly recommend this book. It's called Alien Art, Extraterrestrial Expressions of Earth by Sarah Moran, and the forewords by Von Daniken.
What's it called? Alien Art?
Yeah, it's called Alien Art, Extraterrestrial Expressions on Earth by Sarah Moran.
Okay.
And then recommended reading is the Giza Power Plant, Technologies of Ancient Egypt by Christopher Dunn. I've also got the Atlantis Blueprint by Rand Flemeth and Colin Wilson. I'll show the lovely Andrew because I know he likes to see my boots. So that's it. And then so the Serpent Grail, the truth behind the Holy Grail, Philosopher's Stone and the Elixir of Life by Philip Gardner and Gary Osborn. Find that one. So that's that one. And then The Sign and the Seal, A Quest for the Lost Ark of the Covenant by Graham Hancock.
That is a really interesting book.
It really is, isn't it? Mind-blowingly, mind-bogglingly fascinating. And again, so well researched, loads of lovely photos and, well, in my belief, irrefutable proof, really.
Yeah, it's all based on his own personal experience.
Yeah.
His own personal travels and research. And
then,
he actually went to Ethiopia, didn't he? And
yeah.
yeah,
Well, he researched it properly, Jack. He was he's a critical thinker.
He is, yeah. Yeah, it's one of the better ones, yeah.
Yeah. So Magicians of the Gods, again. This has got loads and loads and loads of luscious stuff in. And, you know, Jack and I have said this so many weeks, that we're not trying to evangelise anybody. We're just giving people different perspectives on things. So always do your own due diligence. Always check it out for yourself. But anything that resonates with you, go and have a look.
Yeah.
This is really fascinating hidden history.
Yeah, we don't tell anybody what to think.
No. We
That's not our
just
job.
pique your interest so that if you want to do some more research and have a look at things, you can. So what
thank
do
you
you
very
think,
much.
Andrew?
Well, as usual, great depth to what's been said, and I'm left sort of, does it really matter whether these things are true or not? And what effect will knowing these things have on us for today, tomorrow, next week, and so on? And I do think that we are at the beginning of a new civilization ourselves, and that there is a sense in which the when we say, oh well, we haven't known these things, how can somebody plot a map in 1513 that we didn't find out until we got that particular piece of instrumentation that could navigate the stars on the move? It was all right if you were stood still. How can these maps have been done? And it's obvious that there is technology there. Is it pre-diluvian, before the flood? That is in existence. But it's almost like, well, we've missed these things in our current 300-year history, that we tried to think that we've got everything mapped out for the whole of the past millions of years on the earth. But the last 300 years, it's been a renaissance, hasn't it? It's been a time of study, of rediscovering things that we didn't already know. But now, I think this is a much more significant time when all these, we've decided that a lot of the stuff that we've been told in our daily newspapers, in our history books, everywhere you look, everything that you read, it's not necessarily, is it, who was it that had that song? It ain't necessarily so.
The libel you read in the Bible, it ain't necessarily so.
Is it Ella Fitzgerald? Is it Ella Fitzgerald?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So we don't need to believe anything that we're being spoon-fed. We do need to do our own research. And then it's like, well, obviously the two of you think Graham Hancock is a reliable source, but how many other people think that Graham Hancock isn't a reliable source?
Usually,
so you've got to believe what you believe, and you've got to make a path for yourself through everything, and that's why we've got our brains, so that we can make our own decision about things. We don't need to follow the crowd ever. And this is what I love about this show, is that you never, ever, ever insist that anything that is said here is what we would call, in my background, the gospel truth. It's for you to discover. It's for you to have your interest piqued, for you to make a decision as to whether at the end of the day you are going to be affected by the things that have been said here. And I think that whether it's true or not is not as important as what you do with this information, how it impacts you as a person, how your life develops, unfolds from this moment on, being aware of the stuff that maybe previously you'd never heard of before Jack Cox and Annie Day told it to you. And the fact that we haven't been told these things, it is very, very sad. And I think that people should do their own research. And the Eric von Daniken thing, that's something that I've been, the Chariots of the Gods and the Gold of the Gods from the early 70s, I've been aware of it. And it didn't fit what I was being told in church at all. But I still embraced it. It was weird. Why would I embrace such books as that at a time when I was heavily steeped in the life of the church? No doubt about it. But I've always been piqued by these things. So it's, again, what an amazing show. Come back and see some more next week.
Yay! Thank you, Andrew. Anything you want to say, Kenny?
Yes, I think that that it's our understanding of the world and the universe is due to a shift in spiritual consciousness. That I think that we're aware we're waking up spiritually to come away from some of the deception that's been put on us by the so-called cabal. And I think the collective is shifting to where we're now more receptive to this type of information.
Agreed, Kenneth, absolutely,
Yeah, spot on. It has literally been a great awakening since 2020. Things that we might have believed previously, I think it's made us far more discerning, far more careful.
Yeah, we used to just accept things, didn't we? If it was on the telly, it had to be true. And we've become a lot more, as you say, discerning.
When even little kids are telling me stuff, they're going, this doesn't make sense, does it? And I've said, no, it doesn't. Maybe it's not the truth, maybe it's a lie.
I also think that as Andrew was saying, that there are some of us that have come to the planet where we, on a subliminal level, we have an understanding, not only have we been deceived, but also that we are able subconsciously to tap into that Acoustic record and understand that about the possible existence of earlier civilizations and even some past life experiences, even though there may be a veil over us, on some level, we still are able to accept the, von Daniken and others who have done the research, because we have that some level of past life understanding or a level of ancient history, because we've lived those lives in the past.
That makes sense. And I think you're quite right about this. Has been a real big spiritual awakening as well, hasn't it, for all of us?
It's harder to pull the wool over people when they actually were the reincarnated people that were doing it originally, and we remember. And we're starting to remember.
For sure. And I'm delighted because this week particularly, I've been working, sorry, not this week, obviously we're only on Monday. Last week, I had lots of children in for treatments. And they're all crystal children or rainbow children, whatever we're calling them. They are so awake to the bullshit stuff. This one little girl started to lecture me about why we shouldn't have fluoride in the water, and I said, darling, I've got a kangaroo.
You've frozen, Annie.
I'm back again.
Annie's frozen. Okay.
Am I? I'm still talking at my end. So this little girl was telling me about why we shouldn't be drinking fluoride.
Oh, good. Yeah.
And I said, oh, this water here, sweetheart, is a Kangen water machine. It's got no chlorine, fluoride, pesticide, insecticides, heavy metals, female hormones, and everybody else's medication is taken out of it. And then it's alkaline. So, she was, but I loved it that she knew why she took her own water to school.
And he seems to be freezing a lot, so maybe we ought to wrap it up.
Okay.
Okay, we've done we've done nearly 2 hours.
No, well, according to my clock, it's 8:15, but I don't know.
We've done, we've done 1 hour and 45 minutes. So well done.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Kenneth and Andrew, for coming.
And thank you for your contributions as well. Yeah, thank you.
And thank you guys.
Very much to my daughter's co-host, Any Day.
Thank you, lovely Jack Cox.
And let's say it'll be 2 or 3 days before the full version of this goes up on YouTube.
Wonderful.
Because I've got to go to the dentist tomorrow, so I'm going to be a bit tied up. But I will get it up with all the illustrations to show the things that we've done, that we've talked about. Okay, wonderful. If you're watching on YouTube, please do like, share, and subscribe so we can get out to more people.
Yeah.
And help us get up to whatever it is we're trying to get up to, 1,000 subscribers.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, you did tell me that. 1,000 subscribers we want.
Okay.
So yeah, subscribe away.
Namaste.
Namaste. Namaste.